Hey, hello everybody. This is episode 3 of the Hmong question. This is Lou for unresolved Hmong topics. This is TaiChiMing.
Hello. Yeah, welcome back.
Okay, so first question is this. Why do we say sure for the Chinese?
Yeah, a lot of our discussions uh, will contradict modern day teaching, especially about Chinese history, because it is from the Hmong point of view. And I like to stress that because we have to look at history from the Hmong point of view to understand who we are. And to understand the term Shua, we have to know about the term Chinese, obviously. Chinese was used by Westerners on Qing people during Qing Dynasty, and that's during the Manchurians' rule. Now, this is based on literatures, and Shua, under the Hmong terminologies, means like vassal states or vassal people uh, who were under the Hmong people. And I stress that in my writing that we call the Chinese, modern day Chinese, okay, Shua, because they were vassal people under us, meaning that Hmong used to rule over them. And this is very different, right? According to modern day teaching of Chinese history, they don't talk about these things. According to one view, Shua was originally used on the Shuan people and then Shuhan people. Now, Shua then was used on the Hua or Huayi. Huayi is articulated by Hmong as Shuayi, okay? Not many people know that. Hmong also call these Huayi or Shuayi as Manshua because Manshua includes both the Man region and the Shuahan region. Shuhan region is mainly the southwestern region, like Sichuan, Guizhou, Yunnan. These regional people during ancient time was known as Shu or Shuhan people. Now this is Shua people under Hmong's terminology. Now Man regional people were the Chu region, which include like Hebei, Hubei, Jiangxi, Anhui, and the central region. So that was known as the Man region. So when Hmong referred to Manshua, most were referred to these two regions people. And Shua original were referring to this Huayi. That also include the Shu Han and Shu people. Okay, and we'll talk about these as we have conversation about Shua history. Now, the Man Shua of Man and Shu Han are southerners from the upper Yellow River Basin. Hmong came to rule these people who were originally known as Yi people. Yi people includes the Dongyi, the Huayi, okay? And when these were uh, vassal people under the Hmong, they were known as Hua or Huayi people. It kind of complicated, isn't it? I know there's a lot of terminologies, but Huayi means Shuayi. These people were known as Shua to the Hmong people, okay? Because mainly they were vassal people under the Hmong. So these people were vessel people on the Hmong. That's why we call them Shua people. But again, Shua is equivalent to Hua, like modern day teaching and the way they write history in China, they call themselves as Hua people. Okay, like Zhonghua or Huayan. So these are Shua. It's the same term, but it's just pronounced different under the Hmong terminology. We call it Shua, but they call themselves Hua. Okay, that way, uh, as we talk about it, when Hmong says Shua, Hmong really meant the Hua people. Okay, but because Hua people are mostly go by Han now, so we also refer Shua to Han people. But uh, the term Shua meant different things, or I guess they refer to different terms, but in actually they're the same people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Hmm. Very interesting. Is that good?
Yeah. Do you?
Okay,
Yeah.
understandable. That makes
Unless you have
sense.
any question. Yeah.
No, on to question two. Okay, so like you said that. Like, what does Shoah mean anyway?
Yeah. I pretty much already recapped that, but I'll
Like, why? Because some people think
probably
it
read
means
it.
counting.
Right. Shua on the
Mhm.
Hmong also mean to count, right? To count, like the term Shua is to count. So when we say Shua, meaning that we count these people as our vessel people or people under us. Now, but most, when Hmong says Shua, Hmong will mostly refer to the Hua Yi, the Shu Han, Chu Man, right? So these people were counted under our kingdom as vessel people. That's why we call all of them Shua people or Hua people. So Shua literally means on the Hmong terminology as vessel state or vessel people. Um, I'm not quite sure if you understand what I mean. So we
Mhm.
count these people as our vessel people, meaning that they were people under us,
Mhm.
under the Hmong lordship. Okay. So
Mhm.
if we look at history from the Hmong point of view, many of the kingdoms that were classified into Chinese history were actually Hmong kingdoms. So Hmong were like the rulers uh, over these Chinese people. Now, since the foundation of the Republic of China, the Hua or Shua people and others were grouped into Han, national ethnic. So according to the Hmong, Han used to be vassal people under the Hmong. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
Shua under Hmong terminology means to count. No, it also means people that were vassal under the Hmong. That's why we refer to the Han or the Hua or the Huayi. Huayi, Hmong says Shuayi. Now these were vassal people under us, under our kingdoms. And I know it doesn't sound very pleasant to the Chinese point of view, but we have to understand that uh, these Hmong terminologies are based on the Hmong history in Eastern Asia. And we'll talk more about it as we talk about Hmong history and Chinese history.
Okay, yeah. That's really interesting. So, like, when did the Showa dynasty actually begin?
Yeah, that's a very good question, but I think it's a complicated question too, because like we just say, Shua refers to different terms. Like, how modern day teaching, say Chinese, Chinese refers to many things, right? Doesn't Chinese is not a very distinct term. It's a very loose leaf term where it refers to a lot of the things that defines a lot of the Hmong and Man history into Chinese history. So Shua, like I previously pointed, it refers to Xuan. It also refers to Shu Han. It refers to the Hua Yi, right? Um, Now, people that were vassal state or vassal people under us are Hmong kingdoms. Now, Shua, if you look at Shua under the term Han as a national name, then it began during Han Dynasty. Okay, Shu Man and Shu or Shu Han took control of the Yellow River Basin and formed Han Dynasty. Now, these people were known as Huai people, okay? The upper part of the people were known as Huai people. Now, Huai were mostly Dongyi, Huai, okay? Huai were Chuman, Mai people. Huai means the Yi people that lived along the Huai River, the Central Plain. Now, these people were known as Shua to the Hmong, right? Because, like I say, they were vassal people under our kingdoms. Now, if you look at Shua, according to the name Hua or Huai, okay, Huai is equivalent to Shuai, okay. Now, Hua people began during Qing Dynasty, according to one view. So, Qin Shi Huangdi or Qin Shi Huadai was the first to unite most of regions into Qing Dynasty and country, which many regarded as the first Chinese dynasty. I don't know if you know that, Qing Dynasty. But Qing only lasted for about 14 years. Okay, now we talk about Qing Dynasty, okay? Now, Qing country itself lasted very long, but Qing Dynasty only lasted for about 14 years. And we have to know that the Qing royals, they were Huai people who worked for the Hmong government as horse breeders during Zhou Dynasty. Now, Qing were Huai or Yi people that they brought into the Northwest to breed horses for the Hmong government. And they gradually developed into Qing country or Qing Hua. And this is how Qing, they become strong. So they conquer most of regions of the Yellow River Basin. And they also conquer the southern regions, which is Shu Han, and Chu, and the Bai Ma and Bai Ye regions into Qing Dynasty. That's why people argue that China or Chinese first began during Qing Dynasty. But now, if we look at from another different view, according to modern day redefinition of modern Chinese history, one view also redefined that Chinese history began during Xia Dynasty. And we have to note that the term Chinese was not originally meant for Han people, okay? But because since the majority people of China are redefined into Han Chinese since the foundation of the Republic of China, Chinese is often being referred to Han now. So many argued that Chinese kingdom began when Qing first united most regions into the short Qing dynasty. They also claim that Xia Hmong history is their history too. So since they claim Hmong kingdoms to be their kingdoms, one view also claimed that Chinese history began during Xia Dynasty. And because Hmong used the term Shua on the Chinese, right? Like I said, the term Shua was referring to the Shuan, the Shu, the Huayi people. But now we have a new term called Chinese that is used by the Westerners that is referring to history or people of China. Now, Chinese did include the Hmong too, right? Because Chinese originally meant people in China. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you are a citizen of China, you are Chinese, right? Do you get what I'm saying? But the term Shua, under Hmong terminologies, we refer to Chinese as well. Now, but we are also part of the Chinese that are used by the Westerners. Now, that's a very complicated, and it's very confusing when you think about it. So your question, you ask about Shua, right? So Shua, we refer to different things depending on what we talk about. But like I say, modern day Hmong terminology of Shua, we refer to mostly the Hua people, okay? And we also refer to China or the people of China, which also include our people. Now, Shua is also referred to Chinese. Now, does Chinese and Hua mean the same thing? Or does Chinese and Han, Chu, do they mean the same thing, right? So, like I said, Shua is a loosely term that we refer to different things, but we mostly use Shua in the same way that the Western people use Chinese, the term Chinese. I hope that helps, but it is very complicated when you think about it, because the term Chinese also refers to different things, but Chinese is defining most history into Chinese history. Like it doesn't matter whether it's a Hmong kingdom or a Shu Han kingdom or a Man kingdom. They redefine these kingdoms into Chinese history. And we'll talk more about it as you have more questions. Okay. I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, it
You know,
does.
yeah, it's a little complicated.
No, it's all good. Thank you. So, like, what is the difference between us Hmong from Shua?
Well, like I say, Shua does not mean Hmong, but the term Chinese, the way they use it in Western ideology, that includes the Hmong too. Okay. But we'll talk about it. And to understand the difference between Hmong and Shua, we have to understand their histories and culture. But before I go into the differences, I want our audience to understand that since the foundation of the People's Republic of China, the government classified people or Chinese people into 56 ethnicities, okay? And the majority were grouped into Han national ethnics. Now, about 7 to 8% of the people in China were grouped into 55 ethnics or minority ethnics. Okay, so we have to know that Hmong were grouped into Han too. Okay, depending on where you are. So people who lived in major cities, people who spoke the national language, were all grouped into Han national ethnics. So when we look at the differences between Hmong and Shua, okay, in this case is Han or Hua, Zhonghua people, okay. The difference is that our language, uh, we do share a lot of the terminologies with the Hua or Han people, but there are differences. So one is we linguistically there is a difference, and secondly there's a cultural difference. Okay, and we'll talk about the linguistic first. Now, linguistically, Hua or Han Chinese, they spoke the classical Chinese language. Excuse me, okay? I'm gonna sneeze. So the classical Chinese language, when people talk about the classical Chinese language or the Hua language, it was originally the Saman or the Erman language of the Yellow River Basin. And people don't realize that when they think of classical Chinese language, some people think that is the uh, Cantonese language, okay, or the Taiwan language, because during the fall of the Republic of China, a lot of the Chinese government or the Kuomintang people they fled into Taiwan. So Taiwan is retaining the classical language to some point. Now, when we compare the Hmong language to the Chinese classical language, the Hmong language belongs to the upper Yellow River Basin language. And I cover that subject in my book. I believe it's chapter 11 or 12, okay? So Hmong language, our ancestor came to rule over the Hua and Huayi and other southern Chinese tribes, we also borrow terminologies from them. Now, to look from this point of view, Hmong language, okay, does include some of the classical Chinese terminologies. And Hmong language was also part of the Northern Asian languages, such as the Tungus language, Turkic language, which are defined into Mongolian language. So from this point of view, I hope you understand that when the Hmong, rule over the Shua or Huayi people, the official language was the Hmong language. You see what I'm saying? So from that point of view, Shua or Han or classical Han, they also borrow terminologies from the Hmong language. And Hmong during the Han or the Manchua Mayi kingdoms, they were official, they were the government. So Hmong also go by their rules. So Hmong also borrow language from them. So even though we have similar terminologies, our languages are different, and that is one of the core differences, right? Our languages are different in a way, but in a way we do share terminologies. Okay, I'm not sure if you're following me, but what I'm trying to say is that we do have different languages, but a lot of our terminologies are shared terminologies. Now, the other differences from Hmong and Shua is our culture, okay? From the cultural point of view, Shua or Hua, they worship snakes. They have a snake dragon culture. They worship demonic mask like a Chiyu. They practice the demonic masks pretty much. They have the red and white demonic face mask culture, which Hmong don't do that. Okay. Now, this culture is also a Myanmar people's culture. So, if you follow me closely, when we talk about Myanmar history, Myanmar also have this culture, which is the same identical culture as the Hawaii culture, because Myanmar are considered to be Dongyi's people, right? Dongyi meaning they were the Eastern Yi people. Now, Hmong, on the other hand, we worship God. We worship the sky god. We, also worship our ancestor, but we worship Fati, okay? We don't worship Chiyu, the demonic being. When we look at from the blood point of view, our DNA, right? We are a mixed nation. We are mixed with the Shua, okay? So Shua and the Hmong do share ancestors. If you look at from uh, the blood point of view, okay? What I meant is DNA point of view. Now, Han Chinese or Hua, Shua, also claim ancestry from the Hmong's ancestors because they were mixed. They were mixed with Hmong, okay, or they were mixed marriages. On the other hand, like I originally say, many Hmong were grouped into Han national ethnic. So from this point of view, under the Han national ethnic, there are Hmong people, or Hmong lineage that are now classified as Han people. So from this point of view, many Han people were our related people too. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, however, by ethnic name and culture, Hmong and Han or Hawaii are different. They're not the same. Like I say, we Hmong, our culture is different from the Hua, Shua, or the Miao Mai's culture. I'm not sure if that answers your questions, but that's the differences.
No, it does. It does. Thank you. Okay, that's really good. Thank you very much. Question number 5. Okay, so like, what do you think when someone people said that we split from Shoah because Shoah and us was once a family? Is that true? What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I think I think because we don't understand our history, so we tend to believe that, oh, Shoah Chinese had a long history, 5,000 years. So we must bridge from them, right? But if you look at history from the Hmong point of view, like I always stress, we have to understand that most histories were organized and redefined into Chinese Hua history. So people misunderstood that Hmong split from Shua or Hua, okay? Hua actually adopted and inherited the Hmong history too. So if we understand that Hmong used to rule over the Hua or Shua, okay, then, Hua, Shua, under Hmong, they were people that we used to govern. From this point of view, Hmong did not bridge from the Hua or Shua, okay? Did you get what I'm saying? Right, but if you accepted that all these Hmong kingdoms were Hua, Shua Chinese history, then yes, we bridge from them. But if you look at history from the Hmong point of view, then you know what? Hmong had always been existed. Okay.
Yes, that's facts.
Okay.
Thank you. What do you think when you hear that more people keep saying that, oh yeah, Shaw is better than everything, and we more people we ain't shit.
Yeah, like I say, that has to do with how history is being redefined. And, most inventions and most kingdoms, whether it was created by the Hmong, the Maya, the Shuai, Huai, they were redefined as it all belongs to the Chinese, right? And this is a new narrative. So the term Chinese on the Hmong, we call it Shua, okay, is now used as an umbrella that defines most Huayi, Dongyi, Huayi, Shu, Shuhan, Man, and Hmong histories as belonging to Chinese. Since the majority of people, of China is defined into Han, like I pointed out, most people only knew that this history and kingdoms belongs to the Chinese, right? So people misunderstood that Chinese is better than Hmong. Now, in actuality, a lot of those kingdoms were Hmong kingdoms too. So Hmong were the minority that ruled over the majority Chinese. Now, this is Hmong history, and it is different from the Han history and the new narrative that they taught in school. And it also contradicts modern day teaching, like I stated earlier. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you look at history from the way
Yep.
history is being redefined as the new narrative, then yeah, our Hmong people don't have history. So yeah, Chinese must be better than us, right? But if you go back and look at the true history, a lot of those kingdoms, like Northern Wei, Sui Dynasty, Tang Dynasty, Song Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty, they were Hmong kingdoms. Uh, the Han Chinese, the Hua people, were actually ruled by the Hmong government. Okay, if we look at the truth. And I'm sure that when we have more time, we can present more facts so people understand that those kingdoms belongs to the Hmong, even though modern day China or the government also classify that as their history. You know, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Mm, so question 7. Okay, so like, why do you think some Hmong people said that our words are Chinese and we have like no specific like important words that we use like other people's languages? We borrow words a lot, basically.
Yeah, when you say Chinese, do you mean Mandarin, Cantonese, or Saman language, like
Um,
the
from what I
classic?
hear from other people, it's pretty much like a broad term like Chinese, like Showa or other pretty much that
Yeah,
majority.
like I said, that's very confusing because Chinese it could mean different things.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese, are we talking about Mandarin language? Are we talking about Cantonese
I
language?
would
Are we
only
talking
say
about
that like it's
Chinese?
Mandarin, pretty sure Mandarin
Okay,
or Cantonese, but like
right.
it's not from what I said, it's from what I hear from other people said that, oh yeah, the Hmong language is like use a lot of Chinese, which is I always only assume Mandarin.
Okay.
Mm,
Right. So if we look at from the Mandarin point of view, okay, don't look at from the Chinese, or they call it Chinese, classical Chinese language. Now, the classical Chinese language is the Samang language, the Erman language, okay, and that's during Han Dynasty. The Cantonese language, which many people refers to as the Chinese language, okay, because during the Hmong Kingdom, especially during Tang Dynasty, we refer to the Cantonese as the Chinese. Okay. But like I said, now they don't say that anymore. They say Chinese is the People's Republic of China now. So if we look at the Chinese language from the Mandarin point of view, um, Mandarin was actually an evolution over time. Okay, it's a language that evolved over time because the government, like I stated earlier, the government language during major dynasties were different. For example, like I previously said, the classical Han language during Han Dynasty was the Samang or Mang language, meaning they were the Mang language of the Central Plain and the Yellow River Basin. Okay, we have to know that the Han language during Han Dynasty was not the Hmong language. Okay, during the Northern Wei, Sui, Tang, and Song Dynasty, the government official languages were the Upper Yellow River Basin language, which belongs to the Hmong language, or at least the Southern Hmong language. Now, during the time of Hmong dynasty or Yuan dynasty, a Qing dynasty, the government language or the official languages were of the northern and northeastern languages. Do you see what I'm saying? So from this sense, Chinese Mandarin, or they call it the Old Mandarin, is believed to begin during the Yuan dynasty. Okay. And that says that Mandarin during Yuan and Qing dynasty was also part of the Hmong language. So Chinese Mandarin today borrowed a lot of the Hmong language terminologies. Do you see what I'm saying? So once we understand that many classified Chinese dynasties were actually Hmong kingdoms in history, then we will understand that Han Chinese also borrow terminologies from the Hmong language. If Hmong were the government, then the official languages had to be Hmong language, right? Uh, don't you think so? Now, like I previously stated, we have to know that during the Han Dynasty, the Ming Dynasty, the government were actually the Hua people, okay? The Hua Yi under Hmong is Shuai, okay? No, they were the government. So they ruled for several hundred years. So Hmong had to go by their languages, their official language. So in that sense, Hmong also borrow vocabularies from the Shua people, right? We borrow from each other pretty much. I hope you understand what I meant. And so it's not in one way where, Hmong, a lot of these terminologies, we took it from the Chinese. No, that's not true, okay? A lot of these terminologies, the Chinese also took it from the Hmong language, if you look at from the facts. Like I
yeah.
say, you know what? During Han Dynasty, Ming Dynasty, the official language was the classical Chinese language, which was the Erman or Samangyu. Okay. Now, these language were not modern day Mandarin. So you have to know that. Modern day Mandarin is based on the Yellow River Basin's language. And a lot of those terminologies were all actually Hmong, Hmong language terminologies. I hope that answers your question.
Mm. Is that why, like, so, like I hear that for most people, it's kind of easier to learn Mandarin. That's what I hear all the time.
Yeah, the structure are different, but a lot of the terminologies are actually Hmong terminologies. Okay,
Mm.
like for example, when we say brothers, you know, we say we say 哥弟, right? 哥弟,
Mm.
but in the Mandarin language, they say 兄弟. Okay, we say the older brother, we call it 弟, okay, but they call it 哥. Now the younger brother, we say 哥, but they say 弟. You see, it's the opposite, but it's the same terminologies.
Mm.
So once you understand this concept, then yeah, it's a lot easy for Hmong people to learn Mandarin because Mandarin was derived from the Hmong national language during the Hmong
Mm.
kingdoms, right? Like I say, Tang Dynasty, Northern Wei, Sui, Song, Yuan, these were Hmong kingdoms, or at least the elites, the elites, the high official governments were Hmong people. And we have facts that back up what I just said.
Mm. That's really interesting. Dang.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. What does ja mean in your words?
Okay, Zha is a White Hmong dialect, but under the Blue Hmong dialect, we say Zhang, okay?
Mm.
It's the same term, just different pronunciation. Zhang has different meanings depending on the context. And I know that a lot of people associate Zhang into dragon, okay? But Zhang also means other things. For example, Zhang is a classified for a verse of lyrics or a song, like when we say 让告, right? 让告, it means that it's a verse of song, okay? When you say 让路, meaning that it's a lyric, it's a lyric or it's a poem, okay? Now, it does not mean dragon, but like I said, it depends on how you use it. Zhang means different things. Zhang also used for wedding ceremony songs and um, you know like we say 让冲, right? 让冲, it does not mean that dragon wedding, okay? It means that it's a lyric songs for the wedding. But Zhang uh, symbolically, the term Zhang also represents a powerful icon under the Hmong culture, okay? We use Zhang, we associate Zhang with the thunder, okay? Which is very different from the Huayi, Mayi, the Hmong culture. For example, we say uh, Su Zhang Su Lao, right? Su Zhang Su Lao, we referring the dragon as the thunder. Did you get what I'm saying? we also refer Zhang to like the flying horse. Okay. Now Hmong also use Zhang as a celestial term for like a boar dragon. Okay. Now Zhang, because of assimilation, Hmong also refer Zhang to the snake dragon, but that's from the Shua's, Shua's point of view. So uh, Zhang means different things when depending on how we use it, pretty much.
Mm. So why was that? Like, would they we associate Ja with dragons? Like, like the serpents? Why, how did that happen?
Yeah, like I said, the Zhang of the snake, the Zhang of the serpents, that's the Huayi's culture. That's the Samiao Mai's culture. That's not the Hmong culture.
Yes, gotcha. Then why is it like so prevalent that we Hmong people associate Ja with, serpents then? Even if it's a dragon in Hmong culture then.
Okay, you repeat that?
So like, why do we Hmong people socially mean like associate Ja with dragons when you said it's like horses and other stuff?
Yeah, like I said, Zhang, uh, it represents a powerful icon. So under the Hmong culture, we normally refer Zhang to the thunder, okay? You see how our terminology, we say Zhang Su Zhang Lao. We refer the dragon to the thunder. We don't refer the dragon to the snake. We don't say Zhang Na Zhang Lao, right? Do you ever hear that? Right. But to the Chinese or the Huayi, okay, 叫 Shuayi 那样, and the Samiao or Mai, Nama people, they always refer dragon to the snakes, the serpents. So, so these are two very different ideologies. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense now. Like, yeah, okay. Do we Hmong people not like snakes?
What is it?
So like, do we Hmong people not like serpent and like we Hmong people don't like snakes, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, you know, we talk about the Chinese culture, the Ma's culture, right? Ma, we talk about like the Thai, the Lao, and other Ma subgroups in China, like the Zhuan, the Takadai, the Puyi, the Butai, okay? Now, all these are considered Ma people under the Hmong terminologies. It would be best to ask them these questions. But because since you asked, I'm going to answer based on what I know. Uh, and since the Han, the Hua Chinese version of dragon is the snake, or a small snake with legs, you know. The Hmong people, we don't like snakes. We don't like serpents because under our culture, it's against our beliefs, you know. But because you have to understand that under our values, we value the horse, the boar, we value the thunder, okay? We value God, the sky God, pretty much. Now, we now these ideologies always taught that snakes, the snake culture, the serpents, uh, are the enemies to the Hmong, And according to history, they were the one that Hmong always struggled with. You see what I'm saying? That's why in China and in a lot of these Southeast Asian countries, the serpents the culture of the snake dragons is the one that is thriving, right? Because they don't like our culture too. Because I mean, I don't know if they like it or not, but it's the opposite to their culture. Okay. So they're gonna promote their culture. That's why you see people always associate dragon with like the snake, right? Because it's been taught and it's been promoted in the media, you know, under the Chinese culture, the Vietnamese culture, the Thai, the Lao, you know, you name it. A lot of these Asian countries promoted the dragon as being the snake, right? That's why most people thought of the dragon, they think of the snake with small feet. But under the Hmong culture, no, that icon are the enemies to the Hmong. The Hmong culture, when we say the dragon, like I said, we talk about the thunder, okay? We talk about the flying horse. You know, those are important icons to the Hmong people, which Hmong are losing out of that culture. So Hmong people don't know anymore, okay? But we have to talk about it so Hmong can retain the Hmong culture. That's why we don't like serpents because that culture is the one that suppresses against our Hmong culture. And as our elders been taught, you know, the snake serpents are the ones that are trying to take away the throne from the Hmong, right? I don't know if they heard about it, but that's how our elders been taught that the serpent culture is the one that is suppressing the Hmong culture.
Oh, is it like a saying for that?
Yeah, if you go to our website, we have a story that our elders been passing down. It talks about the creation of the Hmong and the creation of the Hua reptilian species. Now, Shua, Huayi, Sanmiao, Manyi, they consider that they're descendants from snakes. Okay. Now, among people, we don't say that. We say no, snakes, reptilian species is the enemy to the Hmong people, you see.
Okay.
We, I mean, have you heard anywhere saying that Hmong people were descendants from the snakes?
Mm-mm.
Right. I mean, you only hear that from the Chinese, the Huayi,
Mm-hmm.
the Miao, Manyi, Naman people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, you know, that's their culture. Whether it's good or bad, you know, that's how they believe.
Yeah.
We're not saying that that's a bad culture. It's just that that culture is a culture that suppresses the Hmong culture, or
Mm-hmm.
it's a culture that we struggle with, you know.
Mm-hmm. What are some bad omens that we Hmong people have about snakes?
Um, Omens. Well, like I already said, you know, snakes are the enemies to the Hmong people. Um, Reptilian species or snake culture was regarded as the culture that Hmong struggled with, like I just said. It was the culture that eliminated the Hmong culture of the thunder god, the sky god, um, and other Hmong icons. So, you know, the reptilians are the ones who tried to take away the throne from the Hmong people, which our elders had taught us. The snake icons are signs of Zinyon, right? Zinyon to the Hmong is the evil force, according to the Hmong culture. Okay, snake are demonic icons. As people worship Chio, for being the snake. That's one of the reasons why we're saying that Sheol is not the moon's ancestor. Like I've been telling people, by blood, yes, we're mixed with the Mai, Nama, Baiye, Huayi's people. But by culture, by values, by history, no, Sheol was the snake, the serpents, who was the main enemy to the Hmong people. Okay. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, like, because I heard that like back in the old days, if the snake comes to your house, you have to kill it or and then like do some cleansing. I don't know if that's true.
Oh yeah. Our elders have always taught us that if you see a snake that enters your house, make sure you kill it. Make sure you crush the head, right?
Mm,
You don't let it escape because when snakes get into your house, it's considered a bad omen. It's considered bad luck, and that's how I mean, that's how Hmong believes that snakes are very bad luck to the Hmong people. So they always been a enemy icon to the Hmong. And Hmong, like I said, Hmong, we believe in the thunder. Or the icons that support us are like the eagles, the birds, okay? Um, and like I said, the celestial board.
mm. Do you like for the birds like a phoenix, right? Is that one?
Mhm.
Is that because I hearing that yeah nung sauna di shi kuch boy there yeah no.
Yeah, the phoenix, it's a lot different from the dragon. Like I say, when Mo said dragon, Mo refers to the thunder, okay? But when Mo refers to phoenix, it's it's a bird culture under the Hmong culture. Now, that had to do with when Mo said bird culture, okay? Like I said, our bird culture, it has to do with the phoenix, the eagles, the hawks, okay? But like I pointed out earlier, Hmong does have a dragon culture too. The celestial phoenix is a sign for like eternal flame. Okay, eternal flame meaning to live forever, pretty much. Just like a lot of the northern Hmong people uh, interpret our Mongola, the term Mongola. Other people also interpret it into forever flame. Okay, forever flame has the same ideology as the phoenix, which Mo believes that is the eternal flame. And because we don't have a national education about these icons, so we don't know much about it. And I hope that we can do more research, on the phoenix. But it is based on artifacts and literatures. Phoenix was part of the Hmong culture. Okay.
Like do you still carry it till today or that has that been forgotten?
Um, I don't see many elders talk about it anymore, but yes, once in a while we hear people talk about that Phoenix is part of the Hmong culture.
Mm,
For example, okay, um, one of these artifacts that was found at the ancient Hmong town in the Dongyi regional area, it's a sword that was marked on this axe with the Hmong name, and it was designed to a phoenix, like a bird. That's an example, and I hope I can show that to you later, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But that's facts that during Hmong ancient time, there's artifacts that Hmong also worship or, you know, regard the phoenix as one of our important icon.
Mm.
But as far as artifacts, like I said, we don't have snake culture like the Huayi, right? Shua. Um, Now, this is something that we need to understand that since Huayi or Huashua people redefine a lot of their Hmong ancestors and kingdoms into their history, they also redefine these people and associate these people into the snake culture. Okay. For example, um, if you follow the modern day Han history, okay, they also claim Fati to be their ancestor. And if you look at the new artifacts that they created throughout the last century, or at least the last half century, they have made Fati to have like snake dragons all over his palace, and you know, portraits of Fati were associated with snakes too. But that is a new thing. Like I said, it's a new narrative. Fati's culture had always originally were the thunder dragon, not the snake dragon. And that's something that we'll be talking more about it as we talk about Hmong history.
Mm, thank you very much. Well, I
Um,
mean that wraps it up. Okay. Well, any other
yeah,
words?
I hope that we will have more time to do more research on these celestial icons, so we can understand more. But you know, you do ask a lot of tough questions today, and I hope I
Mm,
answers your questions. If not, you know, next time we can always come back to them. Okay.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Till next
Okay.
time.